2019. And do recall that we've told you time without number that this program will be featuring analysis, discussions on issues surrounding
elections. Many thanks for joining us. As Masha rightly said, I am Precious Amayo. Just 8 days to the election. Yeah. Exactly 8 days, but it doesn't seem like it is. Some people are still clamoring for so much to be done within that 8 days. One of such is the River State, the controversy regarding the APC, whether or not APC would be featuring in that election. And I was just saying to myself, to my colleagues this morning while we were on the breakfast show, that what difference would it make if INEC gives in to their demands and allow the APC to feature? I mean, they haven't been featured in the electioneering period or the campaigning period. What difference do you think that will make? You know, a lot of people talk about the issue of equity and giving a level playing field to all parties. So if it's not just allowing them, you know, and be part of the election is not just about equity and fair play. It will also be unfair to those who were able to get their house in order and get things done on time. It means that you're saying that because you're the ruling party, you can do whatever you want and get away with it. So if there is a price to pay for not getting their house in order, yes, and it's in line with the rule of law, then they should pay that price. Beautiful,
beautiful. Okay, paying the price they are doing. Now let's bring our viewers up to speed with some of the issues making the rounds in the news. First off, I've got the EU monitors react to El Rufai statement on foreign intervention. Well, the European Union has reacted to comments by Kaduna State Governor Nasir El Rufai about foreign interference in the general elections. In a statement issued on Wednesday, Press Secretary to the EU Observer Mission, Sarah Fragley, explained that the EU does not interfere in elections, but rather analyzes and makes suggestions. She said EU election observation mission are impartial, do not interfere in the electoral process, and operate according to a strict code of conduct. Governor El Rufai, in an interview on NTA's Tuesday Live, had said that those who attempt to interfere in the internal affairs of the country would return to their countries in body bags. In the meantime, Governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El Rufai, has denied calling for hostilities against international observers during the general elections. El Rufai rather urged the international observers for the election to remain monitors and not to interfere in the process. Amayo?
And of course, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, insists it will not reverse its decision that the APC party has no candidates in the impending election in the state. INEC's declaration coincided with another decision Wednesday by the same Court of Appeal sitting in Port Harcourt, granting stay of execution on the judgment of the Federal High Court. The Court of Appeal sitting in Port Harcourt had on Monday ordered a stay of execution of the Federal High Court's ruling, which barred the APC from fielding candidates in the forthcoming general election in Rivers State. But INEC National Commissioner in charge of voter education and publicity, Festus Okhai, said the electoral body had taken its decision, and if anything changes, they will meet as a commission and also take a decision.
An IGP removes Imohimi as Lagos CP Zubairu to take over. Police Service Commission has approved the removal of Edgar Imohimi as the Lagos State Commissioner of Police following the recommendation of the Acting Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu. Muazu Zubairu will now take over as a new police commissioner in the state. Kayode Egbetokun, who was also recently appointed as a commissioner in Lagos, has been redeployed to Kwara State. According to the statement, new appointments and redeployments were done across all 36 states of the country and the FCT. The commissioner is expected to proceed immediately to their new command ahead of the 2019 general elections. Well, there you have it, just about a few of the stories making the headlines as it relates to the 2019 general elections. And as you rightly heard Precious say when we started, 8 days, barely 8 days to go before the elections hit our doorsteps and Nigerians are expected to go out and vote. But I've got the president of the Nigerian Union of Journalists giving his own 1 cent on issues that seem to be rising. Here is a soundbite from Chris Isiguzo. Take a listen.
Well, it's normal. Normally, during an election year, there's usually that tension. You know, everybody is on the edge. Is the election going to take place? Is it not going to take place? What's happening and all that? And the journalist is always up to task, you know, to ensuring that they live up to their constitutional mandate of being agenda setters. You set the agenda for what you expect to see. You also play the role of watchdog, the dog that is always awake and watchful, not betting the eyelids. You must be up to task with what you're supposed to do.
Never sleep.
You don't sleep, you don't slumber. You watch them, set the stage, and make sure they do the right thing. That's the watchdog role.
Okay.
Make sure they do the right thing. One, the election management body, in this case, Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, doing what they are supposed to do. You don't allow them to derail. If they are derailing, you call them back. You alert the public and tell them, look at what is going on, and if this situation continues unchecked, that the process, the electoral process, is going to be adversely affected. So you must, at all times, make sure they are, because sometimes those that are at the helm of affairs, they might be doing the wrong thing, and they think those things they are doing are right. You understand? So you must always remind them that we've got the rule book, the Constitution, the Electoral Act is amended, you have the provisions of those two books, and they must adhere strictly to what the provisions of the contents of such books. So oftentimes when they try to derail, the media should be able to redirect them to do the right thing. So all in all, the reportage of the election process so far, I'm not going to completely say the media has lived up to expectation 100%.
Righteousness exalts a nation. The heart of the king is in God's hand. 2019 general election is here. Time to elect our leaders. Time to vote. Time to exercise our civic responsibilities. Choose the right leaders today. Your vote matters. Your vote counts. The future of our nation is in our hands. Don't sell your vote. It's your right, your power, and your future. Stand with me to make Nigeria great. It starts with you casting your vote on election day. Your vote is hope. Hope of our nation. Together, we shall make Nigeria great. My name is Joe Praise. Stand with me. Stand with me. Stand with me.
Yes, welcome back. It's still Nigeria Decides. Just before that break, you heard Chris Isuguzo, who is the president of the Nigerian Union of Journalists, talking about skepticism. Some people have expressed skepticism about how the elections would go. There you have it. In the studio, we're being joined by our guest, who is a presidential candidate of the Providence People's Congress, PPC, Victor Okhai.
Nice to be here.
Good to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Victor Okhai was born in 1966. The accomplished filmmaker, Okhai, is a veteran broadcast journalist with over 30 years' experience in the media industry. Victor Okhai has the rare capacity to understand and speak Nigeria's 3 major languages, Igbo, Hausa, and Yoruba, and 3 major international languages of English, German, and French. Currently Director of International Film and Broadcast Academy, Lagos, he is in great demand as a speaker and resource person on film locally and internationally. The International Film and Broadcast Academy, through the efforts of Victor Okhai, has produced over 700 films in the entertainment space and trained over 2,000 Nigerians. Precious, you want to take it from there?
Yes, he was co-founder of the Directors Guild of Nigeria and has produced and directed several documentaries, movies, and television series locally and internationally. From the media and entertainment industry, he has developed a deep passion for politics and governance in Nigeria, which has crystallized into his ambition to lead the nation. Victor Okhai, a Christian and a minister youth pastor with the Redeemed Christian Church of God, gave his life to Christ over 30 years ago, and the Christian Pentecostal Mission under Reverend Dr. O. Ezekiel, and is happily married to his best friend Bridget Onyebuchi Okhai, and they are blessed with 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Guest for today, social commentator, journalist by excellence, filmmaker, public policy analyst. Most of all, he is the presidential candidate of the Providence People's Congress, Victor Okhai.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you.
Yeah, pleasure.
Such a lengthy profile you have there. Well, we'll be talking about you, a bit about you, and then we'll also delve into the issues, matters arising regarding the election. Yeah. What more do we need to know that wasn't said in the profile read out about Victor Okhai?
Well, it's a fact that I would usually put it this way. 2 things I'd like to bring out here also. One of them is that I believe that I'm the person that Nigerians need most at this moment. And the reason I say so is if you throw up a stone, if I throw up a stone, it's likely to fall on me one way or another. Why do I say so? Because of the many parts that I represent. My father is from Edo, my mother is from Abia. I grew up in the north. I've lived in the southwest for a couple of decades now. And in my family, I have 2 younger ones who are Muslims. So you can see that I have a broad spread and also a broad mind view as well. But more importantly, is another thing I would like to talk about is the fact that in the year 1966, I like to talk about this, there was a disruption in this country where a group of young people took over the reins of power. They disrupted democracy. They have remained in power both in uniform and out of uniform since 1966. Now, it's going to take a child of 66 to disrupt the class of 66. Now, that is what I represent. And I am also someone who is also in touch with the realities of today. I understand innovation, I understand technology, I embrace it. I can talk blockchain technology better than any other candidate. I know what the present is, I know what the future is, and there are very few out there who understand and who are in touch. I've been down there and I'm up where I am now, and so I am a person who can empathize on all fronts with Nigerians.
Okay, well, Victor, politics the world over, I know, entails 2 major things.
Yes.
Pedigree and antecedents.
Yes.
Specifically in Nigeria.
Supposedly.
Specifically in Nigeria, I know that politics would deal basically with antecedents and wealth, financial wealth.
Yes.
Now, you might seem to have the pedigree, you might seem to have the know-how, so to speak. But in terms of the antecedents, political antecedents, not much has been seen of you in the political arena, and then financial wealth. Well,
it's fine. It's fine. Talk about it. Talk about it.
But antecedents.
Yes.
Where have you been?
Well, let me say this to you. I like this very much because you see, I mentioned disruption. I'm a child. I'm going to cause a disruption in this space, a positive disruption. David didn't have a pedigree that anyone knew about. When he was being trained in the bush, the day Samuel came to anoint a king in the home of Jesse, he never, even his father never reckoned with him, never even remembered he had a son called David. And Samuel, like modern prophets, looked at the first son and said, oh, surely this must be, the king. But you know what? The oil refused to pour. I want to say this to you. And I want the listeners also to take note of what I'm saying, that in politics, there may be the factor of money, there may be the factor of structures, but there is also the factor of destiny. I may not have the money, I may not appear to have the structure, but I carry destiny, and I carry the destiny of millions of Nigerians. And that makes a difference. Okay? David was carrying destiny. Joseph was carrying destiny. Saul, when he went after that ass, was carrying destiny. And at the right time, it spoke. And let me tell you something else that's very interesting. In the history of politics in Nigeria, and I'm talking about democratic politics, no person of means, and I will prove it right now, no person of means has ever ascended. If they make money afterwards, it's a different thing. The presidency of Nigeria, let's start. Tafawa Balewa, he was the executive, I mean, he was the prime minister. Zik was just ceremonial, like the Queen of England. Tafawa Balewa, I don't need to tell you about it. I mean, you know, he wasn't a person of means. Okay, Ahmadu Bello would have occupied that space, but he didn't. He ceded it to him. Now let's go further. Second, this is Shehu Shagari. You know, I don't need to talk too much. You know, then after that, the person of means. No, you can see the trend. I see where you're If you do a trend analysis, you will know that, and as it has been, I can tell you that money will fail yet again.
Well, Mr. Victor Okhai, because you talk so much about destiny, but we know that in Nigerian politics, issue of national recognition and identity also matters. People will say to you, I'm very sure you would have heard it a lot of times, what they say, you should probably just run as governor or probably run as local government chairman just so people can know
I find that insulting. No, I will tell you.
President?
Yes, I find that insulting. First, you have only one life to live. You understand? We all have only one life to live. And I want to say this to you. Life will not give you, and by implication, God will not give you what you do not ask for. If you go to a river, if you go with a cup, you come back with a cup of water. You go with a bucket, you come back with a bucket of water. Some who are big dreamers may go with a water tanker, okay, and come back with it. But there are a few of us who will simply go there, put a pumping machine and pipe straight to our backyard. I chose to think big. I choose to see a big God, not a small God, okay? It's okay for those who want to go for local government. Fine, that's how big their God is. But I know that I have the capacity to rule this country. I know definitely that in terms of capacity, mental capacity, I'm better qualified than the two leading candidates right now. So why not run?
All right. Just to let our viewers know, we'll be opening up the phone lines and would like your contributions. We've got Victor Okhai, who is the presidential candidate for the Providence People's Congress. He's up in the race for the seat of the president of Nigeria in the 2019 general elections. We'd like to have your views if you've got questions for him or generally on issues discussed here. I would like you to call us. Phone lines are already open. Numbers to call should be displayed on your screen. Yes, you can call us and be a part of the show. We'd also be taking a call from the United States. George Elijah Otumu would be calling us. He's the American Foreign Bureau Chief, Niger Standard newspaper, and also the national president.
A man I respect very much. George Otumu, it will be a pleasure to talk to you for the first time in my life today.
And Victor Okhai, you're someone, you're the co-founder of the Directors Guild of Nigeria.
Yes.
You've been in the media front. I'd be asking you questions regarding what you think the role of the media is ahead of the 2019 election. But just before that, tell me, how have you so far leveraged on the relationship or the, how do I call it now? The relationship you've been able to build over time with the media. How have you been able to leverage on that for your presidential race?
It's good that you're asking this question. I'm about to say some things right now. This is a bane of our society. Unfortunately, the media, like civil society in Nigeria today, is complicit in the problems that we have. And why do I say so? And I say so most respectfully. I'm in a media house right now, and I thank you for the opportunity you have given me, you know, with it gratis. I want to say so publicly, and I'm very grateful for it. But you see, the role of the media, one, includes agenda setting. The media, they are also gatekeepers. The media has decided that there are only two candidates, unfortunately. When you talk, they just assume. I was looking at, it broke my heart today when I looked at Twitter, I saw a tweet from Kadaria that they are giving the minority candidates on the program on channel. They're giving minority candidates an opportunity to talk, and I just felt, I mean, just look at that language. The minority candidates an opportunity to. So who decides who the minority is? Suddenly, exactly. Suddenly, are you Kadaria? Kadaria, are you the voter? Is your vote enough to put anyone? I mean, for a journalist of our caliber, I felt embarrassed, you know, and disappointed that she could use such language and conclude that who says who the minorities are? That's left for the public to decide. That's for the voters to decide. You might look at someone as an underdog, but you know what? Until the voters decide, you cannot say who exactly is. A disruption is possible. And it will happen.
Will you blame her? Because again, when you look at the conversation, general conversation right now, people are
that's a tone set by the media.
People are talking about two political
No, because that's a tone set by the media. Let me explain what I mean. If today, for instance, and you're in the media, so you know what I'm talking about. If the media pick up a so-called minority candidate, quote unquote, and begin to talk about, that's what agenda setting is about, isn't it? And they begin to talk about I don't know how many times, have you met Atiku one-on-one? Maybe yes, maybe not. How many people that have met Buhari one-on-one? But because they see him in the media every day, they feel like they know him already. Now, that's the power of the media. And so if the power have decided, I mean the media, my colleagues have decided, oh, okay, look, Yusuf, you want to go this way, and then they choose to ignore, well and good. There's nothing I can do about it.
So that brings me to the next question. What's the role of the media in the 2019 general election, aside from just publicizing
it's not about
the candidates?
Let me talk about the broadcast. Let me start with the broadcast media. Okay. Under the broadcast code, the media is supposed to give equal access to all candidates. Now, you and I know that that's not happening. And I could name names here. I spoke to a colleague of mine who I've known for years. John Momo has been a friend for years. He runs one of the most respected channels in this country. And I'm saying so. I called him, I said, look, John, since I started this race, early January last year, your people in channels, your staff were also my friends, I know very well, have not given me an opportunity. They know I'm running in this race. He said, oh, I'll see what I can do and all of that. I spoke to my colleagues there. They never gave me a look in, okay? Later on, I had to write a note to him, and I invoked the NBC code. And I told him, I said, this is not fair. And I invited him, he said, please send me this in by 5 p.m. And then he promised there and then, and as I'm speaking to you, till this moment, I haven't appeared on channels. But you know what? I went to NTA just a couple of weeks ago, and then I went to them and I said, look, I'm one of you. Why are you doing this to a colleague? Immediately they fixed a date and they gave me an opportunity. Okay? The same happened with Radio Nigeria. Your station, I didn't even speak to anyone here, but I'm glad that I'm here today, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. You know, but this is, the role of the media is to inform. You know that. To set agenda. Okay? And where many of them are following the money, unfortunately. Let me tell you something that happened very recently. I found that laughable. I'm not going to mention names here. But one of us, you know, called me and said, do you have any advice so you can put on our station? And I had a good laugh. And I said to him, you can't get an advert from me because you haven't thrown me up to a point where people can put money in my space for me to advertise. You understand what I'm saying? Because now they're only looking at this one and they feel, does this guy have a chance? Now, you're expecting me to come out and advertise. Now, the two people you have projected, the two already have their preferred stations. Okay? Who's the loser at the end of the day? They work with the stations that are already their preferred stations. You have failed to project us. We have no money to put in your station, and too bad.
Well, let's hope that, on a lighter note, Victor, let's hope that the accolades which you've just rained on us would bring some money bags in from your own quarters.
Well, I want to say this.
We'll begin to see the adverts.
Let me say this.
Hold
First, this is Kingdom
We have Peter calling us from Delta State.
All right.
Peter, you're calling us from Delta State. Good to have you. What's your contribution on the show today? Okay, we'll have a drop call. Peter, we apologize. We'd like you to call us back.
My apologies.
Let's have your contribution, questions, or whatever it is you want to say on the show today. Yeah. So, well, that was on a lighter note.
No, but let me also say this. First, this is kingdom work, because when the righteous are in authority, obviously the people will rejoice, okay? Secondly, we all need a positive change in this country. And so what you contribute, there's no way, if the economy is good, if the country is good, it goes all around. And I sincerely wish this station all the very best. I'm pleased to be here, and I'm glad
Thank you very much.
I'm here.
For want of time, let's go straight into some other areas of discussion.
Yes.
The Nigerian presidency has thrown its weight behind Nasir El-Rufai, governor of Kaduna State's comment that foreigners who seek to intervene in the nation's forthcoming elections will leave in body bags. Mr. El-Rufai, who is the governor of Kaduna State, like I said the country will not accept any foreign intervention during the forthcoming general elections. He said this while appearing on a Tuesday live program on the Nigeria Television Authority, NTA. In his words, those that are calling for anyone to come and intervene in Nigeria, we are waiting for the person to come and intervene. They would go back in body bags because nobody would come to Nigeria and tell us how to run our country. Just at a time when the current administration has so much amplified what they refer to as
hate speech.
We have a key player of the administration coming out to say international observers who interfere or intervene. I don't know the particular nomenclature now, because some papers this morning were saying intervene and some others were saying interfere. I didn't watch that program, but whatever it is, saying that they would go with in body bags. Your thoughts, would like to borrow your thoughts, but let's take our first caller from Lagos. Who's live to us? Hello, who's live to us? Oh, we lost that call again. Please call us back. So your thoughts on El-Rufai's comments?
I want to say this with every sense of responsibility. For a public officer that was most irresponsible, insensitive, and unbecoming. He is known to be reckless with his utterances, and obviously that's because he's backed by a regime that is no, if you like, no better. How can you back a statement like this, that the administration has backed? Remember that they rode on the back of this same international community. It was okay when they did it against the last administration. It was okay when they were backed by the EU, the US, and foreign observers and all that. It was okay at the time, but suddenly it's no longer okay. And we've been talking about hate speech in recent times, and for him to have opened his mouth, if he had ended it at saying they should not interrupt or interfere, that would have been okay. But to talk about body bags, obviously, you know what you put in body bags. Body bags means dead bodies. Body bags means corpses. Body bags means death to whoever it is. You know, that's a threat.
Thoughts. Let's take Tayo's call so we don't lose it again. Tayo, you're calling us from Lagos. Your thoughts quickly.
Okay, my question is this. Without the finance, knowing fully well the kind of people you're going against. Hello?
Yes, go ahead, Tayo.
Okay, knowing fully, I'm talking to President knowing the kind of people you're going against, I mean, people, Okhai and the like, and the structure they have, how do you intend to defeat or an amount of the presidency? And do you think, and how can you actually tackle the issue of corruption in Nigeria?
Okay. So the same question of money and then issue of corruption, how do you intend to bring it into your administration if and when elected?
Fine. Like I said, I mean...
But I hope you had concluded your thoughts on El-Rufai's
on El-Rufai. Well, I would say that, you know, if... You know, well, I think I've almost done that. One, that is irresponsible, is condemnable, and it does not represent the view of Nigerians. He has spoken, I believe, for himself and the cabal and those who...
You think he should be prosecuted for that?
I think he should be prosecuted, but who would do it? Because those who should initiate the prosecution process have already said they're backing him up.
Before moving to others, Precious, you want to lend your voice on that?
Yes, I was going to pick up on the issue of hate speech, because there are lots of people who say there's been a lot, the system has been polarized with hate speech from 2015 till now, and that somehow the media is responsible for it, that we have managed to blur the line between opinion and then dangerous rhetoric. Who do you think is culpable? Is it the media or the politician?
The media is as culpable as the politicians, because you see, media and civil society, you see, they turn the way it's convenient. There are times when, not everyone in the media, but a section of the media, they begin to turn logic upside down, begin to justify things. Like, there are already those now that are defending what he has said. Is that right? In a civilized society, you don't do that. Okay, so...
Sorry, hold your thought. Yeah, we have another caller from Lagos State. Who's live to us? Okay. I apologize for keeping you because I kept that person for a while. Please call us back and let's have your thoughts. Go ahead.
Okay. So the media and civil society, I keep repeating that, even though that doesn't seem to come up in the conversation. So-called civil society, you know, for them, when it suits their agenda, you know, it's okay. When it doesn't, then they condemn it, you know. So, and that's what we're suffering. And unfortunately, what we hear every day is what we tend to believe. And because they have access to the media, they use it, and we get subjected to this, and there's very little we can do about it.
How do you intend to go up against Buhari and Atiku without money or with less money?
I have said to you,
Destiny,
I have said to you that money has always failed, and it will fail yet again. They're busy sharing trader money right now. Jonathan you haven't shared traders' money. I don't even have money, not talk about trader.
What's your take? What's your take on the fight against corruption? How do you intend to, you know, carry on with that?
Well, the thing about the fight against corruption is that it's not that the people in authority don't know that that there's corruption and how to fight corruption, but they do not have the will. Or
Ibrahim, I'll just
courage.
quickly take Ibrahim's call
so
I don't lose him. Ibrahim, you're calling us from Lagos. Good to have you. Your contribution quickly.
Hello, can you hear me? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Ibrahim. Let's have your contribution. Ibrahim, okay, wow. Why do we, over 5 calls being dropped?
Network issues.
Okay. So, corruption.
Yes.
You are talking about...
They do not have the will and the courage to fight it. That's the point.
When you say they, who are you referring to as
those
they?
in authority.
Okay.
I mean, it's not for us. We can deal with it at our various levels. But, you know, everything follows. You know, when this administration came initially, they talked about body language, you know, and we thought that that body language would translate. But when people saw that the body language was not consistent with the...
Victor, you're getting it wrong.
Yes.
You're not asked what you think about Buhari's fight against corruption.
Yes.
You're being asked, how do you intend to
fight corruption?
To fight corruption.
Thank you for bringing me back. Okay. What I intend to do is simple. Corruption, I think, should be fought at the source. The best way to fight corruption is to prevent corruption. And one of the best tools we have, beyond just talking about it, is to ensure that, I mean, we can deploy technology to fight corruption. Right now, you know that forensic analysis of the movement of money, is so easy because when we do cashless, for instance, you can trace the movement of money very easily, which is why, as much as possible, we should try and use, how do I put it now, digital technology, you know, in the process of fighting corruption. In terms of how you make payments, how money is used and how money is deployed. If you do that, that includes taxation. It's easy now to know how much you earn and how much you spend using your card because you have to bank and all of that. So it's easy to trace, okay? So I would deploy technology in fighting corruption. And in fighting, I'll make sure that prevention is at the heart of my fight against corruption. And whoever is prevention, what do I mean by prevention? What makes corruption thrive in a society? If you are doing prosecution, you spend more energy. If a man has stolen money, he will use that money to fight you back, which is why I say corruption is fighting back. But if you stop people from stealing from the very source, you make it difficult or near impossible for people to steal, then it becomes, I mean, then you don't have to fight too much.
But what about the narrative that the biggest issue is the family members of the politician? So how would you deal with your family members if, for example, you're elected, your family members who come around and say, I want this contract, I want that? Because again, you're going to have those kind of issues.
Of course.
So if you are fighting corruption, how do you turn down offers for help from people who do not really deserve it?
Well, I said so, that's nepotism. I talked about the will and the courage. And I said, it's not that these people don't know what to do. But you've got to be able to...
Shegun is calling us from Shomolu. Let's quickly take his call. Shegun from Shomolu, good to have you. Your contribution.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Your contribution, Shegun.
Yeah, I've been hearing the discussion so far. But I don't know the level of your relationship with the contestant. But I can see some familiarity. Okay? I can hear you calling him by name, Victor. I don't think that is respectful. Okay? Whether you're in the media or not. But for his disposition here, I think respect should be accorded to him. Because if Buhari was to be there, or Atiku, we will not call him Atiku. So I think some respect should be accorded to him. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The caller from Shobulu. Now he's saying, I've called you Victor severally. In asking you a question, I'll just say, Victor, what do you think about this? And he feels I should, maybe with the title, Mr. Victor, or maybe His Excellency. I don't know. But I think to an extent, I agree with him, you know, because if it was an Atiku here, I wouldn't just say Atiku, you know. I agree with him. And I'd want to say maybe the familiarity, because you see, he's a man of the media. He's been in the media. We've had several interfaces with him. So that gives me that free kind of relationship with him. So His Excellency, Mr. Victor.
No, but let me say this, and this is very important. Shegu, my namesake, because Shegu is also Victor in Yoruba language. Okay. I appreciate this, but I want to say this. Now, the problem with us in this country is that those in authority are far removed from the rest of society, and that is where our problems begin. I do not think that, you know, that there is any, how do I put it now? It is a privilege when you're called to serve, but it doesn't separate you from the rest of society. And so we remain, I discussed this just 2 days ago with some of my party officials. I said, some of my colleagues are going about with police escorts and all that. I said, okay, when you lose, what happens?
I hate to interrupt you, Mr. Victor. I hate to interrupt you. Kelvin is from Abia State. Kelvin, good to have you on the show. Sorry for keeping you for too long. Let's have your contribution. Kelvin from Abia, are you still there? Do we still have Kelvin?
I would love to hear from Kelvin.
Kelvin from Abia State. Okay, that's where your mother is from.
Yes.
Yes.
From Isialangwa.
From Isialangwa. So,
yes.
Okay. So moving around with escorts and police escorts and
yes, you know, I mean, fine. These are dangerous times, so you might need some level of protection and all that. But the thing is, even where it's not necessary. You're going for a family meeting, you're going with police escorts, and you're doing all of that. And I say, you know, you get in there, and this is what, to sustain this, when people get into power.
So just so we rest that, you're saying you'd rather be more humble than...
When a man says he's humble, he's actually being arrogant.
Okay.
You know? Okay. True humility is seeing God and seeing yourself as nobody. If you recognize...
God is relatable.
Our caller from Lagos, what's your name? We didn't catch your name. Our caller from Lagos.
Hello?
Yes, who's live to us?
Okay, my name is Amos. I'm calling from Lagos.
Amos, good to have you. Your contributions quickly.
Very much. Governor El-Rufai. And I believe that for a city governor to make such a stupid statement on air is very, very crazy. You see, the government came on the platform that people should not use hate speech.
I didn't get that.
Hate speech. I don't know what is hate speech. So I believe that El-Rufai should be cautioned.
Okay.
And I was waiting for people to actually sue him because telling people that they will leave Nigeria with body bar as a city governor.
Okay.
I think that has not set a good standard. Then another thing is the...
Yeah?
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, yes. Like I was saying, the man at the studio, I don't believe he has something to contribute to the country. But there is an issue with every one of them that wants to come and contest for president like this. You don't have a structure. You anticipate and some other states is their election. Because we
Amos, your line seems not to be too clear. So we'll let you go, but I think we've got a bit of the crux of your
last point would have been very interesting, but I don't know if you got what he was trying to say.
Well, I think he was saying, I heard El-Rufai deserves to be prosecuted for that.
Yeah, the people who should are not. So what do we do? You know, but we all have to roundly condemn it. We all have to roundly condemn it. We need the observers because obviously, I mean, the president refused to sign the electoral bill into an act, and that itself is suspicious. Obviously, they must have some agenda, whatever I said. It will be signed after the election, which means it might affect some things they want to do during the election. So, and so when El-Rufai is talking like this, we need observers to come and see, and you know, people with fresh eyes, not, you know, to come and say, okay, this is how the election has gone, and whether it's free, fair, and all of that. And you're saying to them, they cannot come and interfere, they cannot. That's, I mean, that's not right. It's a practice globally that observers come in, look at the process, because no country is an island anymore.
Isn't that different from interference?
I don't know what it means by interference, but if interference is cautioning you from rigging, cautioning you from
harassing people.
Yes, harassing voters and all of that, then I don't see that. It wasn't interference when they did in 2015. So why
is that interference or intervention? Lucky, you tell us. Lucky, you're calling us from Lagos.
Okay.
What's your contribution on the show? Lucky, are you there? Okay. Okay, we lost Lucky's call. I'd like you to sell yourself to Precious and I. And I know you've been in the media for quite a while. Maybe feel free to tell us some of the jobs that are popular out there that, you know, we could see your signatures on.
No, I'd rather sell what is immediately in front of me.
But I'd equally like the viewers to know some of the jobs, works you've done.
Because I think the last caller talked about, you know, what you have to contribute. So you need to sell that not just to us, but also the viewers about your pedigree and what you have that it takes, you know.
Before you start, let's take the call all the way from the United Kingdom. Ogbonna, you're calling us from the UK.
Where's George? I want to speak to George.
Ugoma.
Yes, hello.
Good to have you, Ugoma. What's your contribution?
Yes, I just want to ask Mr. Victor,
yes,
as we are told to address him, that's a case he has not really dealt with, how to fight corruption in Nigeria.
No, I can take that. That's okay. I can
because if you can go back to that topic, that will help us.
Yes.
Because unemployment, you know, graduates not having a job not given to the right people, don't we think that this is the cost of corruption in Nigeria? People's salary being held. So I'm thinking he would have addressed on those areas and telling us that he would prevent.
Thank you.
Yes. And I think that's the starting of it. University has been on strike for some time now.
Thank you very much, Ugoma. Let's let you go because we have very little time to go on the show. Thank you very much, and I'm sure he will address that because you're still owing Precious the questions she asked. So let's go with Ugoma.
Okay. Now, Ugoma, thank you very much for this question because, frankly, I think it's one of the most important topics today. The reason Singapore is successful today is because there's zero tolerance for corruption. The reason China is on the up and up is because there's also zero tolerance for corruption. And so, for me, I was talking about the will and the courage. Now, let me get back to that and expand on that a bit. What causes corruption in any leadership, whether you are the managing director of a company or you become president of a country or governor of a state, is simply the fact that leaders do not recognize the fact that by virtue of your being in that position, you're privileged. You do not need to steal. What happens is, and they forget who they really are. I'll tell you, I was in a conversation about this a few days ago. I said, the minute you get here, the first thing you begin to hear is, Your Excellency, Your Excellency. And then the civil servants come around you and say, Your Excellency, you see, you have this, you have this. And what they do is, the first thing they target is to get you compromised.
Victor, I know you want to hear from our viewers.
Yes.
Because they are the people that are going to vote you. Michael has been waiting online.
Okay.
I've been waiting for you to land. So let's hear what Michael has to say. Michael, good to have you. Apologies for keeping you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. What I just want to contribute to this conversation is more of a question because this country, as it is, the problem this country is having is that our industries are dead. They are dead. And I am working on a agenda that we will win. But so what I'm saying is this. What's your plan to revive our modern economy?
All right. We'll leave it at that. What's your plan to revive the economy? Let's let Michael go now, because we have very little time to go on the show. Your plan to revive the economy as you're concluding with the fight against corruption.
Okay. So, when you get into authority, the first thing to realize is that, first of all, you have been privileged by God to be there. And so, at that point, if you begin to allow for people, if you allow people get away for whatever reason, and especially from those, from those closest to you, if you allow them get away with it, everyone reads that as a sign,
and it builds an antecedent.
It becomes exactly. So the first thing you must do is make an example of those closest to you, and when you do that, you send a signal down the line. And I guarantee you, if you can read corruption by virtue of the examples you give, you will have a stress-free.
Does the solution to the downward trend in Nigeria's economy elude you?
No, it doesn't elude me. A situation where you have the richest man in Africa coming from Nigeria, and then where the poorest, where the poverty capital of the world is an anomaly. This should not be the case. One of the things I have in mind, which is very important for me, is to ensure that we change from being a consumer nation into a producing nation. One of the things I would do is ensure that we no longer export raw materials out of this country. I don't care how crude it is, what we make out of those raw materials. For every cocoa that you take out of this country, $1 worth of cocoa, it comes back to you at about $30 or $40 because of the value additions along the line. And the same is with crude oil. Crude oil, you have over 6,000 products that you can make out of crude oil. And so whether it is our groundnut, our tomatoes, our cashew nuts, and all of that, I want to ensure that we begin to produce our raw materials. One, it will build capacity. Two, it will generate employment. Three, it is going to empower our people. And before you know what's happening, we will soon begin to become net exporters of products. That is very, very important for me. Then another thing that we're going to do with the economy as well is two important tools I'm going to be using. Taxation, okay, and tariffs. The things we want to encourage, we will reduce tariffs from them or remove taxation from them. The things we want to discourage, probably competing products in the country, or things we want to discourage, we impose heavy taxes and heavy tariffs on them. That way...
Mr. Victor, Your Excellency, I do not feel we've had enough of
No,
you. I do not feel
never enough.
In fact, I used the word, we're going to x-ray you when you came on the show.
We just started.
I haven't even seen you.
We haven't talked about education, we haven't talked about employment, we haven't talked about... There's so much.
In terms of his policies in different sectors.
So if you're in town next week, Tuesday, we'd like to have you back on the show.
It's Tuesday 13th?
I wouldn't know specifically.
It will be 14th.
14th? Because on the 13th, I'm supposed to be in Abuja to sign the peace accord.
Okay.
They have asked us all to come on the 13th. So we can talk about it after this. But
because we would like to give the viewers a word.
Okay, let me do that. Just a minute. Let me see the calendar.
Precious, I don't know. What's your take about Victor Okhai on the show today?
Well, I think I find him rather interested. It then depends on the viewers and Nigerians who are listening to him right now to decide whether this is the person they want or not. And again, like you said, he didn't get enough time to actually sell those policies. And hopefully he's able to come back and do that.
And I was going to ask him what he will do if the votes or the elections do not go his way. I would have loved to hear from him, but I wouldn't even begin to ask him to take an answer. Okay. So, Victor, are you with us on
Tuesday,
Mr. Victor?
12th. It's fine. Tuesday, 12th. 13th is the program. Yeah. I can decide to take a late flight.
Okay.
I love this station already.
So there you have it, our viewers. I do not think 1 hour is good enough time for us to do this on this show. Please go to our website and help me raise the bar in asking our management to up the time for this show to 1 hour, 30 minutes or to 2 hours, especially as we get closer to the elections. We'd like to make this show 2 hours to entertain our viewers, their opinion, your comments, your contributions, and equally do more x-raying on our guest and analysis. Precious Amayo, it's been wonderful having you here.
Same here. It's been wonderful.
I'd love for us to do this again.
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely.
Okay, so I'm hoping that you'll be here again Tuesday too.
Definitely.
Let the viewers know. PPC, Providence People's Congress. That's a party. Victor Okhai is the name.
Victor Okhai, not Mr. Victor Okhai. My name is Marshal Anthony Ononye, and it's been wonderful hanging out with you. Thanks to everybody who tuned in and those who called in. Join us again Tuesday. Tuesday next week. Now, the time for Tuesday is 7 p.m. This show comes up live by 7 p.m., same station. God bless you.
Your vote affirms that you believe Nigeria's future can be better.
Nobody's ambition is worth the blood of any Nigerian.
Are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Our primary focus is to get Nigeria working again.
We have proven that we are accountable and we are transparent and we're trustworthy.
We must retire with all Nigeria.